right?
Yo, I want to get into something.
All right, let's keep it current, man.
Let's keep it current.
Yeah, man. What do we think about Hove going at Ye?
Yo, that shit is fire. Like,
so before we even get into that, what do we think of the new Meek album? Because to be honest, I've never I like Meek. You know what I mean? I respect him, but he's never really been my wave. Like, he's had joints of Doug in the past and shit, but like I've never really been like, yeah, I'm like Team Meek. You know, like when he was going through his shit, I was like, yeah, like, you know, I wasn't like shouting free Meek because I'm not fake like that, right? Like I don't, but like I thought that shit was fucked up. I was like, yo, like, you know, I'd like to see the man get free. I thought the name of the album was whack when he released it. Championship, is that
Champions?
No, isn't it Championship? I don't think it's Champions.
I can't remember.
I think it's Championship.
Okay.
Because Champions almost, that's still kind of a whack name too. But either way, I was like, I'm not really like into the name a whole lot, to be honest. But
so how many tracks did you hear?
I think I've heard five or six. I heard the joint with Fab, Uptown.
I didn't hear that one.
It's all right.
Okay.
Like it's dope. It's dope.
You're the one with Ross and Jay-Z, obviously.
Oh man, we'll get into that last because that's the shits right there.
And the one with Drake.
I was not impressed with the one with Drake, man. I'm gonna be honest.
I wasn't impressed either.
And I ride for Drake, like yo, like you know, like you might hear me on like Toronto Talks or other things. Like I clown on Drake a bit, right? We clown on everyone. Like everyone's open game. You know what I mean? I joke on myself. Like I joke on everyone.
Facts.
Everyone's open for jokes and discussion, right? And I give my opinion, you know what I mean, the way I see things, and sometimes I see things and people be like, oh, you want that smoke? I'm like, no, I don't. Like, I fuck with Drake. But
out of all the tracks I heard on it, that was probably the worst one.
I agree. That was, and you know what? The beat was fire.
I only heard four.
And that's the problem. The beat was fire. When I heard that beat drop, I'm like, yo. Because first off, when the track list got released, I seen Jay and Ross on a joint. Yeah. And I was not expecting the What's Beef sample. I was not expecting Hove to go at Kanye. I'm just like, yo, I'm amped for that.
Yeah.
The next joint I was most amped for was that Drake shit. Like, they were like head and head.
Yeah.
And then I peeped the J one first. And I was like, yo.
Same here.
And that shit was fire. So I'm like, yo. And I already, like, I didn't really have expectations for that joint necessarily. I was just like, Ross, Meek, and Jay, like, I got to peep that, right?
Yeah.
So I was excited, but I didn't necessarily have expectations. The Drake joint, I had expectations because of the whole beef, right? And you would think like if I'm Drake in that situation, I'm not coming with no sicko mode shit where I'm like rapping like a toddler, like some nursery rhymes or some like you know like just talking nonsense.
I actually wanted to see like who like I wanted to
both
them go hard.
Bar out.
I thought they were gonna bar out, and I wanted to see who had the better verse.
Drake can bar out.
Yeah.
That's the crazy shit. And that beat, when I heard that piano drop, I'm like, oh, this is about to be some shit. And then Drake starts rapping. I'm like, yeah. And then, like, that singing shit and stuff. And I'm like, yo, like, trust me. Like, I love Drake. I know what he's capable of. I know the singing shit, all that, right? But, like, do that shit with, like, Lil Baby. Dude. Like, Look Alive. Like, you went on JB Block Boy's joint and went in 20 times harder than you went in with Meek Mill. And JB, like, no disrespect to JB Block Boy, yo, we want that interview. No, but no disrespect to him and Take Keith, fuck these up, you know what I mean? Like, these guys, they're doing the thing. And I dig them and I respect them and I vibe with them. But, like, JB's not, like, a lyricist, you know what I mean?
Right.
First off, like, just Drake and Meek on a joint to begin with, they don't have the greatest history, in my opinion. Their collabs in the past have never really, like, showcased either of their strengths. And
I agree, yeah.
And this one, I thought after the beef and shit, like, Meek's got something to prove. And I feel like Drake, after taking the L to Pusha, has something to prove. So I was like, I expected it just to be like I expect this to be a joint where, like, Meek did some shit, gave it to Drake. Drake came in and bodied it. And then Meek's like, I'm rewriting my shit and came in. Because, like, how are you going to let Drake body you on a joint after, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he didn't. He didn't. Nobody really bodied anyone. Like, it was just like, it was an track. Yeah. And the beat was so dope. Like, that rusty piano sample, I'm like, oh my God. And then it drops. I'm like, yo. And then, like, Drake, like.
So, as far as, like other songs on this, the one with Cardi, I was actually.
That track's better than the one with Drake.
Yeah, I was impressed. Like,
I was too.
I wasn't like expecting like.
But Cardi's hot, man.
To be dope, but like.
She might not write her shit, but
I like her shit on there. She was dope.
Now, see, and here's something I want to say. Once again, no disrespect to Drake, but like, Drake, obviously, he writes a lot of his stuff, but he's known for having ghostwriters. Cardi as well, when she was underground, she wrote more of her stuff. Now she's known for not writing, but everybody looks at her. It's the same. It's the Drake effect. Everyone's like, oh, they don't write their own rhymes. Well, anybody who really knows Drake knows he writes rhymes. He just hasn't written all of them.
He's written for other people, too.
Exactly, a lot of people. And the stuff Drake has had ghostwriters for is not his lyrical shit. Like, that's not like Diplomatic Immunity or like fucking, you know what I mean, 9 a.m. in Dallas or like, you know, like that shit where Drake goes in. Like, people who know Drake can rap.
Yeah.
And that's what, like, with something like this, that's why like it upsets me, because it's like, yo, like, when you're doing joints with Lil Baby and shit, do the shit you're doing right now. But like, Drake always does that. He finds a new pocket and a new flow. And
he
like
sticks with it for a bit.
Exactly. It started with if you're reading this, it's too late. That's when Drake really first got on the trap shit, and it was kind of like left field, and people were like, whoa, I don't know how I feel about this. And I was the same way. At first I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. But like Energy and No Tellin', joints like that are some of his illest joints. Like that shit is hot. Like if you're reading this, if you listen to it now, they were saying on Joe Budden podcast, they aged well, and I agree.
I remember Energy, yeah.
Energy is fire.
Yeah.
Like, that shit is ill. So I understand Drake when he finds these new pockets and flows and rides them out, because he rode that out for a bit, then he got on the next flow, rode that out for a bit, like the Views flows, and that, like, you know, he's always got kind of a pocket, and he rides it out for a bit. And to be honest, like, Sicko Mode came out earlier this year. When it first came out, wasn't really feeling Drake's part on it. It took me a little bit to open up to it and get into it.
I still don't like it.
I know you don't, and I still don't think it's like top-notch Drake material. I think it's lazy Drake material, but he found a pocket and he wrote it and it worked, right? And like a light, like, even though it's corny, it connects, you know what I mean? It's catchy. Yeah. And I think he's trying to carry that flow into me. I'm like, yo, keep the toddler flow. Like, Don't try to make the toddler flow a thing, because it's whack.
Yeah.
Like on Sicko Mode, it wasn't sick. It just worked. And it took a little training of the ears. And I know with all these phases Drake goes through, it takes training to the ears to get used to him in this new pocket. But I'm just saying here, you can put my word on it right now. This toddler flow pocket ain't it.
No.
Move on from that.
And like
Scorpion didn't have this toddler flow on it. Thank fucking God. Because Scorpion, to me, subpar album from Drake.
Yeah, there were some joints that I liked, but overall it wasn't.
There's joints on it, don't get me wrong. Yeah. Especially the first disc. And even the second disc has joints on it.
Yeah.
But there's joints on it like Ratchet Birthday and shit. It's like that was trash.
It could have been cut down to like a one album. Like,
I agree. And you could have done half and half. Half bars, half not. Yeah. And the other thing that's confusing too is like how, like, the second half's supposed to be R&B, but then like Nice for What's on it. But you don't sing on Nice for What. Like, that's a rap song. But is what? Because it's catered to women, it goes on the second disc. Like the
that's one of my favorite songs on there.
Yeah, Nice for What is fire.
Yeah, I love that song.
That sample and like even just like, you know, like I like when Drake gets on like his Hove shit and he's like, you know, he kind of like homages shit. Like, hey, buddy, get your motherfucking roll on. Like, whoever thought you could homage a Big Timer song and make a fire joint with it over a Lauryn Hill sample?
Yeah, I wouldn't even thought that.
I bet you a lot of people listen to that don't even realize the first line is homaging the Big Timers.
Yeah,
hey, buddy, get your motherfucking roll on.
Yeah,
like
that. I did. As soon as I heard
I'm a shorty and she doesn't want a slow song. Had a man last year, life goes on. Yeah. Like, that shit's dope, man. Like, Drake has such good potential.
Yeah, let's get back to like the Meek album though.
All right, well, that's kind of what it all comes back to. I just think that joint, I expected them both to go so hard on it, and neither of them went that hard. It was almost like Drake came lazy, so Meek, it almost seems like Meek's trying to almost kind of mimic Drake's flow a little bit.
Yeah, overall,
he's like trying to ride pockets. He's not.
I only listened to it once, and overall, I didn't like it. But
I wasn't a fan.
Yeah, like the other song I heard was
Sorry, before we move on, the point I was making is Drake and Cardi both get criticism for not writing their shit. I don't know how much Cardi writes now. I know she's written shit in the past. I don't know how much she writes now, but I'm assuming it's on a Drake tip. Maybe not as much, but like I'm assuming she writes some stuff. Just like Drake, people will put it in a box and be like, he doesn't write anything because he got caught on a couple songs that weren't that lyrical. You know what I mean?
And the ones that I said that came out weren't like the lyrical.
Yeah, like 10 bands. Like to be honest, I don't even like 10 bands.
No.
You know what I mean? Like I don't like that shit was kind of trash. Yeah. So like to me, it's like, yeah, but look at the stuff he does right. Like, now with Cardi, I don't dig that deep in her, but like, I just think it's crazy how Cardi has a better joint on there than Drake.
Yeah, like it'd be crazy if it came out that like what was that 5 a.m. in Toronto. If it came out that like somebody wrote that, I would be upset. I would be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's like finding out someone wrote fucking Rock Bottom for Eminem.
I wouldn't say quite to the level, but
it's the same kind of thing though, man. Like those are the types of joints you look at Drake for, and you're like, yo, dude's got it.
The other joint
that's like finding out someone wrote Exhibit A for fucking J Electronica.
That'd be crazy. But like, yeah, the other joint that I really liked on that I heard from the Meek joint was Cold Hearted 2.
What joint was that?
I don't know where it was.
Is it a solo joint?
Yeah.
Is it the one with the soulful sample where he's talking about the dudes who turned their back on him and he was in jail and he had to separate himself from people? See, I caught a joint, but I didn't catch the name of it. And it was fire. It's got like a soulful sample. He's talking about being in jail and separating himself from it, and he talks for like 2 minutes on the end. That shit is fire.
I think it was a different one.
I don't know what that joint was called, but that shit was fire.
Like, yeah. I each track I only listened to once, so I didn't really get like a full. But like I was like, oh shit, this is Meek in his fucking, and like
in his bag, yeah.
So from what I heard from the album so far, just off Meek's performances, like I wasn't big on Meek like you said like before.
Yeah.
But like his last album, I was huge on. His last album, the Wins and Losses.
Yeah.
I thought that album was fucking super dope.
Okay.
But then like what I've heard so far from just the Meek verses, I don't think it's on par from that.
See, and to me, I think this is the best I've heard Meek.
Okay.
In my opinion. But like I said, I've never really done a deep dive into Meek. Like, I've listened to joints off every album, but I've never really like been like, yo. And like, you know what I mean? Like, there's so much music comes out all the time, especially this year. It's so flooded. But
like, there was a joint on the last one, Price. It was like basically the price of fame.
Yeah.
Oh my god, man! Like, it's probably like a lot of people put like the intro as Meek's. Like I put Price.
The Nightmares or whatever it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, I put Price as my favorite Meek song. Like
Word
off the last album.
Okay.
Like, that song was just like kind of like it was. He kind of starts it off. He's like, yo, like when like my homies have like oh my god, like people die and like other people have issues and stuff. He's like, I gotta pay for it because I'm the big guy. He's like, whatever happens, like when I need something, and like he just talks about like the price of fame and like everybody being on him for everything. When he's like, yo, I need some shit too. Like,
yeah,
it's a dope song. You should take that in.
Word.
But yeah, so we'll come up to we wanted to save the Ross and the Jay.
Well, I think that. To me, like I said, I have to listen to more of the album, but that shit was crazy. Now I know you don't think Ross came that strong on it. I think Ross was nice on it.
I could have done without the Ross verse.
No, man, I think that's a perfect way to open it, and I think it was sequenced perfect. I like how they put Hove last. They just let Hove smash. Hove almost went Eminem on that, like or drug. Like if we're gonna compare Hove to Hove, he went like Drug Dealers Anonymous. You know what I mean? Where he takes the beat and does what he wants with it.